Hello everyone, I hope that you are doing well. Today I'm here with another topic, the topic of financial or money trauma. It sounds weird perhaps for you, but I guess you understand what I mean. Financial or money trauma is about reenactment of fear, shame, or anxiety due to consumption or investing money or discussing money in your relationship with your partner. And supposedly, these emotions of fear and anxiety are coming from your past when you were a child, or even from your experiences from dealing with money and financial issues in your ex relationships. And perhaps you may be among those who feel resentment, kind of ambiguous anger and frustration, or envy toward friends or generally people who have got a more comfortable and reasonable approach toward money and finance. I have met many people, both men and women, who reported that their partners or sometimes themselves tended to have problems with managing their expenses and financial issues and in general money-related assignments. For example, one of them could spend recklessly and impulsively, and another could be very restrictive in spending and even had a very strict relation with money in general. And the sad part is that in many cases, these can lead to coercive control and toxicity in relationship dynamics, so-called financial or economic abuse, such as restricting bank accounts or refusing to share money with their partners when she asks for it, or that you were forced to create debts in your name and so on. Because sometimes the partner who has got issue with money tends to control and excessively monitor his or her partner's amount of spending. And if the partner is a person who herself is bearing an emotional baggage of trauma from his or her past, it will become so difficult to secure a financial plan for the current and future life, because then the coercion and negative control is escalating in the dynamics and paralyzing the couple's ability to working through conflicts and be constructive. But your past and traumas cannot be an excuse for practicing control and psychological violence against your partner if this is something recognizable for you. I was surprised when my client said that she has to report to her husband what she has spent money on every time she went to a cafe with her friends or she bought something, even tiny things for herself. So her husband was actually trying to handle his own anxiety and fear via controlling his wife. And unfortunately, she was used to it and accepted that. That is the problem, because many of us who have experienced traumatic stuff before have consciously ended up accepting to be a less version of ourselves by having no or very thin boundaries for ourselves in relationships. And therefore, maintaining healthy boundaries and self-respect and recognition of red flags in relationship will be problematic for us. So you see that the need for controlling money can potentially collide with love and intimacy. It sneaks into your relationship without you being totally aware of it or seeing this as a red flag. And then you will absorb it as a sign for care, love, or protection. The problem is that many may argue that, well, it is for the sake of transparency and honesty. It is very important value in a relationship, but this is not true. Yes, of course, transparency and honesty are very important values, but this is a form of control and not honesty, because most likely, if your partner is practicing that against you, he or she will not himself or herself do that. I mean, this is not reciprocated from his side. And moreover, we must also be able to discern and understand how far we can stretch boundaries and to which extent and for which financial decision we may allow our partner to know or demand information about. Are we talking about spending money on your haircut, or about buying a car or some big stuff for yourself or household? There is something that is common sense, but still we see that there are many people out there who struggle to discern and figure it out, mostly because of their ingrained trauma reaction patterns and their fear which make it difficult for them to recognize the unhealthy dynamics. And this type of coercive control and abuse usually has multiple facets, as you may suddenly feel that you are alone and isolated from friends and family and totally dependent financially and mentally on your partner. Childhood traumas such as poverty or not having material needs met dramatically during childhood, being forced to start working as young to provide your family, understanding at very young age that your parents are not able to afford the clothes, the toys, and things that other children usually had, and so on. And dealing with feelings of shame and fear because of such experiences could have an extremely big impact on how you perceive financial plans and safety and your general attitude toward money currently. It's not always about coercive control. Sometimes such a trauma response manifests itself in a way you try to drive your lifestyle, like having an urge to spending a lot of money on design and high quality brands, although you or your partner might not have a robust economy to do that. You may force your partner to provide that specific item or push him to accept your reckless boundaries on financial plans of yours all the time. Many will also discover things after their divorce. For example, they may find out that their partner had kept all financial documents hidden during all marriage years, or that your partner had secretly investing money on own name, although that money was supposed to be a common source of financial support accessible to both of you. To start a relief journey, you have to, first of all, recognize the pattern and acknowledge the problem. Many may feel scared of recognizing it and feel that I cannot thinking of protesting and claiming my financial right to my partner. It is not just possible. Maybe you think further that he will get upset or angry. I have been told that it is about mutual trust and transparency in our relationships. I cannot be unfaithful and break out of our agreement, and so on. If such type of monologue is repeating in your head, most probably you are a victim of economic abuse. I understand that you will find it difficult to imagine a breakthrough. But this is about your vulnerable parts and trauma patterns, which make it difficult for you to protect your boundaries. I believe that this awareness, this acknowledgement is the first important step, because it will lead you into self-care path and understanding and respecting your personal needs and boundaries without meaning to be rude or violating your promises and commitment to your partner. Your partner's helplessness related to anxiety as a trauma response does not need to be a tool to restrict your life. And this recognition part applies for both cases, for the partner who practices economic abuse and the one who is a victim of such an abuse. The next step is to foster honest communication on the topic and share your feelings, how you think and understand the things. If you see yourself as the one who strongly tend to have control about money issues, this acknowledgement and fostering a good and clear communication about the issue with your partner will be helpful. You have to find a constructive solution, because it can ruin your relationship at the end. Seeking professional help in order to figure out your communication patterns and also to see where trauma-related experiences originate from and to resolve responses are always one of the crucial steps for change. And remember, if you have been exposed to such a restricting financial regime during a long period of time in your relationship, it doesn't mean that it is impossible to find a way to release and construction of good boundaries. This is a very common experience for those who have experienced domestic and financial abuse over time, that they find themselves incapable of changing the situation. This is just the normal reaction. A change process takes time. You need knowledge, self-trust, and help. And then you will find a way to start redefining and protecting your boundaries. And this way usually goes through resolving your own trauma responses. So the fact is that the reality of financial trauma and a strict relationship with money is bigger than what we usually think. Its roots go back to the past, to our previous experiences, which lead us into scarcity mindset and being too responsive and reluctant about our boundaries in our relationships. So money trauma is not about money, but about your unique experience in relation to money. I hope that this has given you a motivation to check out your attitude toward money in your relationship and to step into the path of experiencing financial wisdom and success in a collaborative and democratic relationship with your partner. Thank you for joining. Take care. We'll connect again soon, hopefully. Bye.